I realized my relationship was finished while clutching a tray of charred sausages. It was at a buddy's cookout a few weeks ago. I was by the grill, attempting to salvage the last of the meat, when I caught my girlfriend's giggle from the deck behind me. It was that loud, attention-grabbing chuckle she uses when she wants all eyes on her. Her pals were gathered there, the ones who always treated me like I was just part of the scenery. I overheard my name, so I paused cleaning the grill and tuned in. "Honestly, Derek gets me gifts out of the blue," Lisa was saying. "He dropped off tea when I was sick last week. My guy friend treats me better than he ever could." She was talking about me. The asterisk he asterisk was me. Then came the burst of laughter from her crew. It wasn't a light giggle. It was that sharp, mocking kind that says, "We all get it, and we're on the same page." I didn't turn, I didn't drop the tongs. I just stood, staring at the pathetic, blackened sausages, and a strange peace washed over me. I even cracked a small grin. For months, I'd been painted as the villain for feeling uneasy about Derek. He was her asterisk best guy friend asterisk, and any concern I raised about their oddly close bond was dismissed as me being a possessive, insecure boyfriend. Hearing her words, their laughter, it was like a fog lifting. It was like getting a definitive test result after months of feeling unwell. The issue wasn't my insecurity. The issue was I was in a contest I didn't even know I'd entered, and my rival was the guy she was glued to half the time. I took a deep breath, placed the last of the edible food on the tray, and turned with a calm smile. I walked to the table, set the tray down, and looked straight at Lisa. "Derek sounds like an awesome dude," I said, my tone steady. The laughter stopped cold. Her friends exchanged glances, then looked at her. Lisa's face reddened, but she bounced back fast. "He is," she said a bit too sharply. "He's a great friend." "I know," I replied, grabbing a water bottle. "I think I've been too sensitive about it. You two have something special. I shouldn't interfere." The expression on her face was a mix of surprise and victory. She thought I'd caved, that I'd finally accepted my lesser role in her world. She didn't realize I wasn't backing down. I was accepting the challenge of a battle she'd just openly declared, and I had no plans to lose. For the next few weeks, I became the most accommodating boyfriend ever. I urged her to spend time with Derek. When she'd mention they were grabbing dinner instead of going quiet, I'd say, "Great, enjoy yourselves. Say hi to him for me." When he'd text during our movie nights, I'd pause the film and say, "You should answer that. It might be urgent." I was setting the stage. I knew Derek. I'd seen how he gazed at her when he thought no one noticed. He wasn't a friend. He was a hawk hovering, waiting for his chance. Lisa loved the attention, but she also loved the security of having me, the steady boyfriend, covering half the expenses. She wanted Derek's flattery without any of the gamble. My strategy was straightforward. I'd give him the opening he'd been craving. I'd remove the risk, and I'd make sure when he finally acted, everyone would see. Our friend circle throws a huge annual Halloween bash. It's the biggest event of our social calendar. It was the ideal setting. I just needed to arrange it. Update 1. It's been a month since the cookout, and things unfolded exactly as I expected. My new role as the chill, supportive boyfriend worked better than I'd hoped. It was like handing a kid the keys to a toy store. Lisa let her guard down completely. Derek went from frequent guest to a constant presence in our lives. He'd be at our place when I got home from work, lounging on my sofa, eating my snacks. Lisa would brush it off. Derek had a tough day, so I invited him over, or Derek was nearby and brought us that new tea. It was always us, but he was never there for me. I played along. I'd shake his hand, ask how he was, then retreat to my study to work. From there, I could hear their laughter, their private jokes, the way she'd teasingly tap his shoulder. It was a show, and I was giving them room to practice. The money side got interesting, too. Derek was always getting her little things, thoughtful trinkets, a novel by her favorite writer, a new tea flavor she'd mentioned. Lisa would show them to me almost like she was proving something. "Isn't he so thoughtful?" she'd say. I saw she was using his small gestures to highlight her own discontent. He bought her a $10 novel. I covered $700 of the rent. But to her, the novel mattered more because it was asterisk thoughtful asterisk. So I started tracking it. I made a spreadsheet. One column listed every dollar I put into our shared life: rent, bills, groceries, car insurance, trip savings. The other column listed Derek's contributions: one book, a bag of tea, a bowl of soup. The numbers were eye-opening. The Halloween bash was nearing, and I began setting the final pieces of my plan. I knew Derek's weakness was his pride, especially when he drank. He loved being the charismatic guy who could charm anyone. A week before the party, I casually mentioned Lisa was unsure about her costume. I suggested we go as a famous duo, knowing her response. She paused. Actually, Derek and I thought it'd be funny to go as an angel and devil. It's just for laughs. Instead of reacting, I leaned in. That's genius, I said with a forced chuckle. You two will steal the show. I'll just go as a zombie or something. No biggie. She was so relieved. She thought she'd dodged a tricky moment. In truth, I just handed her the bait, an angel and devil. Perfect. It tied them together for the whole night. On the day of the party, I did something slightly sly but necessary. I knew the hosts, Emma and Jake, well. I texted Jake, saying I was planning to propose to Lisa at the bash. I said it was top secret and I wanted it to be a surprise. I asked if he could ensure their friend, a semi-pro photographer, was near our group later to catch the moment. Jake was thrilled. He swore to keep it quiet and have the photographer ready. Of course, there was no ring, no proposal, but there would be a photographer and a moment to capture. At the party, Lisa was the angel in a white gown with a halo. Derek was the devil with horns and a trident. They looked like a paired set. I was a generic zombie, which felt appropriate. I was there to sap the energy from their little charade. For the first hour, I was the perfect aloof boyfriend. I fetched Lisa drinks, complimented her outfit, then let her go, like releasing a bird from a cage. She instantly flocked to Derek, and they started working the crowd together. My task was simple. Whenever I saw Derek's drink running low, I'd get him another. I'd bring shots for the group, or catch him on his way from the bar and hand him a drink. Man, you're not keeping up, I'd say with a grin. He ate it up. He thought we were pals. By 11 p.m., he was right where I wanted him. Loud, cocky, and messy. Lisa was laughing at his every word, blind to the line he was about to cross. I saw Jake nod subtly from across the room. The photographer was ready, pretending to snap random party shots. I made my move. I joined a group of mutual friends, the ones from the cookout, and started chatting, deliberately turning my back to Lisa and Derek but keeping them in my side vision. I was creating the impression I wasn't watching. I was giving him the go-ahead. I saw him lean close to her, his hand on her back. She was still smiling, thinking he was just being his usual playful self. He whispered something in her ear. Her smile wavered for a moment, and then he went for it. He leaned in and tried to kiss her. It wasn't a quick peck. It was a bold, drunken lunge, right in the packed living room under the fairy lights with at least 20 people watching. The photographer's flash popped twice. Update 2. The instant Derek tried to kiss Lisa, the entire vibe of the party shifted. She pushed him away hard. Her angelic face was pure shock and embarrassment. Derek stumbled back, looking baffled, like a kid scolded for grabbing a cookie. The buzz of conversation stopped. Everyone saw it. The friends who'd laughed at the cookout were now gaping, stunned. The photographer, thinking he was capturing drama before a proposal, kept snapping away. Lisa's eyes darted around, searching for me. She spotted me with my back to her, and her expression turned from shock to fury. She thought I hadn't seen it. She thought I'd left her exposed. She stormed over, grabbing my arm. Did you see that? She snapped. I turned slowly, acting puzzled. See what? I was chatting with Sam, Derek. He just tried to kiss me in front of everyone. I glanced at Derek, who was being ushered away by a friend. I looked back at Lisa. Wow, that's wild. Is he wasted? Of course he's wasted. You were supposed to be with me. Where were you? This was the moment I'd been waiting for. I kept my voice low but clear enough for those nearby to hear. I was giving you room. You've been with him all night. I didn't want to be the controlling boyfriend. Her face fell. She had no response. She couldn't argue with the logic she'd used against me for months. She tried to pull me out of the party, but I held firm. I'm not leaving, I said calmly. Emma and Jake are my friends, and I'm not letting this spoil their night. She stared, stunned, then turned and bolted from the party alone. I stayed another hour, chatting with everyone, acting unfazed. People kept approaching, asking if I was okay. I just shrugged and said, seems like Lisa has some things to sort out with her friend. I was no longer the insecure boyfriend. I was the wronged party. The story had flipped, and I didn't need to say much. The drive home was a preview of the chaos to come. My phone was flooded with her texts, apologies for Derek's actions mixed with accusations that I'd abandoned her. I ignored them. When I walked into our apartment, she was on the couch in the dark, still in her angel outfit, halo tilted. She stood as I entered. We need to talk, she said. Fine, I replied, flipping on the light. Let's talk. She unleashed a rant. It was all Derek's fault. He was a creep who misused their friendship. She swore she'd never let him on. But then she started blaming me. It was my fault for not being there. My fault for letting him get drunk. My fault for being distant lately. I let her vent until she ran out of breath. I stood listening, not interrupting. When she finished panting, I picked up a piece of mail from the counter, a lease renewal notice. "I heard you at the cookout a month ago," I said quietly, "when you told your friends Derek treats you better than I ever could," when they all laughed. Her face went pale, she looked like she'd been caught. That was just talk," she stuttered. "It didn't sound like talk," I said. "It sounded real, so I tested it. I gave you everything you seemed to want. All the time with him, no complaints from me. I wanted you to have the full Derek experience, and now you have. How did that better treatment feel?" She was silent. Her mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. "The proposal story I told Jake," I went on. "Not true, but I needed a photographer. I needed everyone to see what I already knew, that he's not your friend. He's a guy trying to steal his friend's girlfriend. And you're the one who loves the attention so much you'd embarrass your boyfriend to get it." I dropped the lease notice on the table. "The lease ends in 60 days. I told the landlord I'm not renewing. I've got a new place, for me. Alone. You've got 2 months to figure out where you're going. Maybe Derek has a spare couch. You two seem tight." Her voice came, barely audible. "You planned this. All of it. You planned it," I corrected. "You planned on having a boyfriend for the bills and a best friend for the attention. You just didn't plan on the two colliding. Now they have." I walked to our bedroom, shut the door, and left her in the living room with the wreckage of her perfect setup. The quiet beyond the door was more satisfying than any argument could be. Final update. The 60 days after the party were a slow, painful, and deeply rewarding dismantling of Lisa's entire world. She went through every phase you'd expect. Denial, rage, pleading, and finally, a pitiful, self-absorbed sadness. For the first week, she acted like nothing had happened. She'd brew coffee and ask about my day. She tried starting chats about our plans. I shut it down with one-word replies. I wasn't being mean. I was being a stone wall. I gave her no emotion to latch onto. I slept on the couch. The apartment was a silent battlefield. The social fallout hit fast. The party photos spread. The photographer, thinking he was just sharing fun pics, posted a few online, including a sharp image of Derek lunging at a mortified Lisa. The story raced through our friend group. Derek became an outcast overnight. He vanished from social media and went silent. Lisa lost her main source of flattery in a flash. Her friends, the ones who'd mocked me, were now in a tough spot. Some reached out to apologize, saying they didn't realize how strange her bond with Derek was. I accepted but kept my distance. They'd shown their true colors. Lisa's pleading phase was desperate. She wrote a long, tearful letter about her mistakes, how she'd undervalued me, how Derek had misled her. She vowed to cut him off, get counseling, do anything to regain my trust. I read it, then slid it back under her door with a note. "Too late, asterisk." She saw I was serious about leaving when my new furniture arrived at the apartment. I'd ordered a new sofa and bed, and since I was still on the lease, I had them delivered there. Seeing her face as delivery guys brought my new couch into the living room was a memory I'll cherish. The reality was sinking in. Her anger peaked 2 weeks before the move-out date. She cornered me in the kitchen, yelling for half an hour. She called me a scheming jerk for setting her up. She said I'd wrecked her life, her reputation, her closest friendship. I waited until she finished and said, "You mocked me in front of your friends. You entertained another guy for months. You broke our trust. All I did was show you the mirror. If you hate the reflection, that's on you." The final week was just pathetic. She accepted it was over and started packing her things half-heartedly. She couldn't afford the apartment alone, not by a long shot. She had to ask her parents if she could move back to her old bedroom. The same parents she'd bragged to about her perfect city life. On moving day, she sat on a stack of boxes, watching me load my stuff into the truck. She looked small and broken. She asked one last time if there was any hope for us. "No, Lisa," I said, not harshly. "There isn't. You made your choice at that cookout. It just took time for the fallout to hit. I've been in my new place for a month now. The calm is amazing. I've reconnected with my own friends, the ones who never liked Lisa. Life is cleaner, better. I heard through mutual friends what happened to her. She's at her parents' place an hour from the city. She and Derek never spoke again. Her friend group has largely moved on, fed up with her endless drama and victim story. She apparently spends her days whining about how one mistake at a party ruined her life, never admitting the months of disrespect that led to it. The best part wasn't the revenge itself. It was the clarity. I didn't need to yell or fight or beg her to see my value. I just stepped back and gave her the spotlight she craved. She played her role perfectly. And in the end, the crowd turned on her. She wanted better treatment. Now she's living with the reality of what her asterisk better option really was. A lonely, humiliating dead end.